The Paralympics gold medal winner Kurt Fearnley has used his Australia Day address to demand better living conditions for people with a disability. In the speech, he cited figures saying among developed nations, Australia is one of the worst performers when it comes to disability. He urged politicians to stop bickering over who'll pay for the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Will Ockenden reports.
Kurt Fearnley's list of achievements includes a plethora of records and sporting awards. He's represented Australia at the Paralympics 3 times, winning scores of medals, 3 of them gold. Not bad for a man who wasn't expected to make it to his first birthday.
I'm a proud country boy from Carcoar, New South Wales. When I was born, I was missing half of my spine and I wasn't expected to live out the month.
Delivering the Australia Day address, held yearly in the lead up to the January 26 celebrations, Kurt Fearnley reflected on how society treats people with a disability.
Living with a disability in Australia isn't rosy compared to the rest of the world, even among prosperous nations. If you have a disability in our country, you are more likely to be unemployed, more likely to be living in poverty, and more likely to be less educated than if you don't have a disability.
Quoting figures from the OECD, he pressed his message that something must be done to remove inequality.
In Australia, 45% of people with a disability live in or near poverty, more than double the OECD average of 22%. We rank 21st out of 29 of the OECD countries in employment participation rates for people with a disability. We rank 27th out of 27, last, in terms for the correlation between disability and poverty.
In New South Wales, the National Disability Insurance Scheme will soon start on a trial basis in some areas. Kurt Fearnley says it won't automatically fix everything, but it is a start. He urges politicians to cooperate.
When the question is raised on how do we handle the financial burden of the NDIS, we have to ask how can we function as a light to those around the world when we continually fail to provide the support and services needed to those who need it most within our communities.
During nibbles and drinks afterwards, members of the audience reflected on his speech.
Well, I've always admired Kurt Fearnley. I think he's incredible.
The New South Wales Australian of the Year and finalist for Australian of the Year, Ida Buttrose, was one of them.
I think he reminds us that there's a lot more we need to do for people with disabilities. You can't just talk about it, you actually have to do something positive about it. The community attitudes to people with disabilities needs to alter.
Kurt Fearnley has little time to look back. He's in preparation for the Ausday 10K wheelchair race, where he's trying to win it for the 9th time in a row. Last year, it took him under 21 minutes to claim victory. This year, he says he wants to do it even faster.
It's about 20 minutes, 20 seconds, I think, is the course record.
What do you want to do again?
20 and 19 will do.
Kurt Fearnley ending Will Ockenden's report.
The Paralympic gold medalist Kurt Fearnley says Australia's record in funding and supporting its disabled citizens is damning and must be urgently addressed. Jean Kennedy has more.
In a feisty and impassioned speech last night in Sydney, Kurt Fearnley used his Australia Day address to highlight the struggles faced by people with a disability living in Australia.
If you have a disability in our country, you are more likely to be unemployed, more likely to be living in poverty, and more likely to be less educated than if you don't have a disability.
He quoted statistics showing Australia ranks poorly against other developed countries. He's urged broad support for the National Disability Insurance Scheme as the only way forward.
The NDIS isn't a silver bullet, but is a much needed start in the continual enabling of people with disabilities across our country.